So I am super excited to introduce this topic. The session topic is AI and XR, the game-changing fusion for learning. I think geeked, actually, I should say. Geeked to introduce Monica Arés. Monica's talk will delve into the exciting fusion of immersive, adaptive learning environments powered by AI-driven avatars. Please, please, please join me in giving a very warm welcome, because this room is a little chilly, a very warm welcome to Monica Arés. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, hello and welcome. I am thrilled to be here today to talk about the future of learning and how we're on the brink of a new era for both technology and education. Now, for those of you who actually looked at the schedule a couple of weeks ago, you know that this was supposed to be a two-person presentation. Wesley Della Vola, who is my brilliant partner in crime and the CEO of Meridian Treehouse, is currently preparing to have groundbreaking brain surgery, where they're going to put a machine inside his brain to help quell all the tremors that he feels on a daily basis from early onset Parkinson's. So today's talk is dedicated to Wesley and his journey to becoming a human-machine hybrid, or as he likes to call it, a cyborg. And although Wesley's going to do this through multiple surgeries, if you think about it, we're all, in essence, already some level of cyborg. In as much as we pull out a device every single time we're curious about something to look it up or we want to communicate with someone. And so this new advancement in AI and XR is creating a convergence between digital and physical realities that is going to completely not only integrate with our lives in terms of technology, but it's actually going to make technology merge with our lives. And so over the course of one lifetime, we've seen computers go from very basic, simple machines to being able to calculate large sets of data and make predictions. Of course, up to this point, they have been largely passive, obediently doing what we tell them to do. And so this has unfortunately made learning mirrored this way at schools. And it's led to, I would say, standardized testing, rote memorization as being the norm. If I asked you guys to think back over your learning experiences, though, what are some of the aha moments you had? And I bet you could remember the person, the place, or the experience that made you curious enough that you just remembered it right now when I asked you. Of course, all of us have like a handful of those here as adults, which means that they were the exception and not the norm. But those moments are true learning moments. And so unfortunately, this has led to an education system that is critically flawed. It's a system that not only makes jobs susceptible to automation, but it also makes learners disengaged and uninterested in what they're learning. But thankfully, our technology evolution decided not to follow this linear path. And instead, it took a sharp turn upwards and went exponential. This concept, for those of you who know, is famously known as the law of accelerating returns. And it just tells us that technological advancement is accelerating exponentially with relation to time. And that's because as we build more advanced technologies, of course the progress is going to go faster and faster. Of course, there's also this disconnect over there in the red, because our expectation didn't quite meet the reality. And this divergent has caused some ripples in the fabric of innovation. Right now, there are a lot of people in that space, unable to keep up with just how quickly we've moved. But also because the progress that we're set to see in the next 10 years is going to dwarf the progress that we just saw in the last 50, which means our current elementary schoolers are going to graduate high school with technology for teaching, learning, and work that we can't even imagine right now. If, however, we decided to stay on this linear curve, we would have prioritized one directional flow of content, in essence, training our students to be like robots. But of course, now that the robots are here, we can actually turn education into focusing on being human. So this means leveraging what humans are good at, like awareness and higher order thinking and problem solving. And we can use the machines to help complement these skills by making sure that we use them for tedious tasks or things that are time-consuming, or something that's just beyond our capabilities. I think what sets us apart from machines is actually our ability to feel curious or to imagine, or to actually feel frustration when we can't get something right in hopes of finding a better way to do it. This is what gives us the freedom to explore and to innovate. But we're limited as humans. And so I actually think it's going to be the triad between humans, technology, and machine that allows us to finally solve problems that we as humans have been unsuccessful at solving in the past. This recently came out. I'm sure some of you have seen it. But we've been trying to figure out how to do farming at scale without the use of pesticides. This triangle partnership finally is allowing us to do it. By using AI and computer vision and a machine that has a laser with pinpoint accuracy, we can detect and kill those weeds without the use of pesticides. It now can kill about 200,000 weeds per hour. So this is a huge advancement that we couldn't do before we had this triangle partnership. I also very recently saw one on oil spill cleanup. So scientists took all of the data from previous oil spills, put it into AI so it could analyze it and find all the patterns. It's now entered into the robots that are at the site for cleaning up these spills. And they're able to do it with more accuracy and 50% faster. And when it comes to an oil spill, every single minute counts. So imagine what this triangle partnership could actually do to solve bigger problems, like safer vehicles, or curing diseases like cancer, or even reversing our global climate crisis. Of course, in the same way that this tribrid combination is helping with humanitarian and scientific and health and climate-related issues, it's also going to help us solve some of the biggest problems that we have seen in education to date. But with so many, it's often hard to figure out exactly where we need to start. AI and XR over the past few years have lived in completely disparate pieces. Each one has shown us its own superpower as we get to understand what it's capable of. And it's given us a glimpse into maybe what's possible in the future as we start to expand our brains. Generative AI is immensely powerful at adaptive learning, continuous assessment, and content creation. And XR, as we all know, is incredible for helping humans train and learn in simulated environments. But the future of education doesn't just lie within either of these technologies, but rather in their convergence. When combined, we can finally have the tools to create truly personalized learning at scale, with personal tutors and mentors and companions, which means that nobody ever has to learn alone, or not learn because they got lost and didn't know how to move forward, or not stop answering questions because they're curious and they want to do more. We'll also get AI content generation, which will create these dynamic and adaptive environments that can help us learn however we need to learn in that moment. And AI can also keep track of all the learning that you're doing across each surface and analyze the patterns, and then help you understand the best way for you to learn. This combination not only unlocks learning through exploration and curiosity, but it actually is going to help us solve 4 of the biggest problems that we have in education right now, which is engagement, retention, personalized learning, and skills-based assessment. This means that we finally have the tools to increase access to education and fundamentally transform the way we learn at scale. Of course, the pieces currently live all over the globe. They're being incubated in startups. We're testing them in pilots. I believe this turning point in education, however, belongs to those that can act as the hub that bring together the tech and the research and the industry verticals and solutions from startups and the innovation. Because the opportunity they have right now is to be the ones that can finally unlock personalized learning and also new forms of accessibility. Of course, all of us are building without a playbook right now. And so we're all trying to lay these first stepping stones of a foundation that will benefit generations to come. Let's take a look at some of the companies who are laying these very first bricks. Delphi Technologies is an innovative company who's using AI, XR, digital twins, and avatars all together to make aerospace training more effective. And so what they do is they go to these organizations and they capture their very best trainer or educator. They then take all of that data, put it into AI, and create an avatar for every single student. That student then has a personalized tutor and mentor and buddy as they go through their aerospace training. Combine this with high-fidelity digital twins and constant assessment, and they're finding that they're able to train these pilots 50% faster and increase mentor capability by 5 times, which I really love. We haven't really thought about that element of increasing mentorship beyond having humans doing it. And of course, they're able to then increase the pipeline because they can take this whole package, bundle it down to CTE courses and universities. Another company is called Axon Park. They're doing this at the university and high school level, and they are named one of the top VR education companies of 2023. And so they're creating digital universities and supercharging them with AI. They also created a video just for you guys, so take a look.
Welcome to the future of learning, where human imagination converges with technology. In this realm, virtual reality and interactive mediums redefine education. Step into a world where time and space no longer constrain us. In virtual worlds, we explore history, science, and art through immersive experiences. Artificial intelligence becomes our ally, offering personalized guidance, unlocking our true potential. No longer bound by rigid structures, education becomes a dance of self-realization. In this future, inequality dissolves. AI and interactive mediums grant equal access to education for all, fostering unity and breaking down barriers. Collaboration blossoms as students from diverse backgrounds connect seamlessly, embracing collective wisdom. Imagine a universe of knowledge at your fingertips, awaiting your thoughts. But let us remember the importance of balance and appreciate the physical world. As we embrace this technological marvel, let us honor the wisdom of the past and the potential of the future. Together, we forge a brighter tomorrow.
All right, so we've now combined our AI and some XR and some digital twins. But let's think one step further, where your AI avatar notices how you're learning. And there's plenty of things notice what we're doing right now. My Apple Watch notices how many steps I've taken, my heartbeat, but it doesn't really do anything from that data. So what if AI noticed the way you're learning, and then it adapted the environment around you to accommodate? This means it could remove stimulation if it notices that you're overwhelmed, or it could give you some extra challenges if it feels like you've got it and you're ready for it. Until generative AI came along, this kind of content creation was extremely challenging. It was expensive, cost a lot of money, and wasn't always as effective as we wanted it to be. And so content was probably one of the leading problems that we had with immersive learning at scale. But tools are coming now that are going to help us change this. So one of the ones I was just playing with is called Blockade Labs, and it's allowing us to create text to 360 environments in seconds. So here I'm entering Taj Mahal just to see what I can get. And this you can play with on your computer in 2D. You can also pop it in a headset and have it in 3D. You can also then go ahead and play with different styles. You'll see in a minute I tile it with cyberpunk and think realistic and oil painting. But this gives us a glimpse into what's possible with AI adaptive learning, where you can suddenly speak things into existence. What I also love about this tool is that it gives you some autonomy, something else that we had a lot of trouble with anything that was built for VR. So here I'm going to just quickly sketch out the outline of where I want certain things to be placed. And my artist skills never went above age 6, so here's my sailboat on the water, and we're going to type in that I want a sailboat at sunset. These kinds of controls, although they don't seem like a big deal, are really important for learning because it's going to allow educators and students to use 3D tools to show what they're thinking. And up to this point, you've had to be very talented at very difficult software in order to do that. So this in the moment, to be able to use it in a classroom, to have that fidelity to go through and say, wait, this is how I'm thinking about it, this is how I want to build it, and to have it just show you so that you can then move forward with it, will open up a whole new way for us to visualize teaching and learning. Of course, as we start to build more and more content, it means we are also going to have to do a much better job with assessment. Because assessment has always been a challenge. right? I mean, if we look at this room, it's like, how do I know if you did the training right? How do I know if you got stuck and you just decided to stop learning? And how do I know if you loved the lesson so much you went home and tried to learn more about it on your own? Again, assessment's been hard because we just haven't had the tools to do it correctly. And so our default was standardized tests. And this was across every kind of layer of learning, from corporate training to skills training, all the way down to regular school training. But we now have different tools for us to measure with. So immersive technologies can track our body language and our eye tracking and tell us a whole lot of things about our engagement. AI is going to give us amazing feedback just based on text and conversation alone, something we really haven't had unless it was one person across from you. But we're also getting much, much closer to just working directly with our brains and finding information through EEG data. Electroencephalography, or EEG data, is really just a measurement of the different activity inside of our brain. It's completely non-invasive, although it looks very scary, but they can just put sensors inside regular headphones or VR headsets, or hopefully one day AR glasses. And what it can track is going to be game-changing for learning, because it can detect things far faster than we would ever notice ourselves before we even feel the symptoms or before we can get tested. So things like your cognitive load, your focus, your understanding, your learning style, your emotional state, but also things like dyslexia and ADHD long before we would ever be able to pick that up on what we usually use for tests today. So just imagine if we could combine EEG data with AI and we could understand the patterns, and then we can deliver learning in a way that is completely meant just for you and what you need in the moment. This will profoundly change our approach to education. I want to show you a quick video. This is a partnership between NeuroFly and OpenBCI that just was showed at TED 2023. Christian is living with spinal muscular atrophy. And while on the TED stage, Christian and the founder from OpenBCI demonstrated how Christian was able to pilot a drone using just his brain signals. And so the way they did this is they were able to figure out which muscle groups Christian was most able to control. And they put sensors on it. So I think it was his 2 hands, his forehead, and his thigh. These were then mapped to a digital joystick, which he learned how to control. You can see him practicing here. And then he started practicing the drone, again, in a simulated environment. And I don't have the final video, but he was able to combine the camera from the drone with a Vario headset and fly the drone live over the TED audience. So again, we're just at the beginning of what's possible. But imagine as we combine all of these technologies, what we can actually unlock for learning. And so the education industry is having its own aha moment right now. And AI is progressing much faster than we ever imagined. And the combination of AI and XR is finally giving us tools that we have been longing for a very long time. But with all these new inputs and outputs, we're going to need a whole new nervous system. And so networks that connect all of this to somewhere where we can actually use it and learn from it. Historically, this nervous system is called the Learning Management System, or LMS. And we have been trying really hard to retrofit all of these new technologies into our old LMSs. And we keep failing. And so I wonder if our LMSs are no longer sufficient and need to be reimagined. Imagine if the LMS turns completely into AI. And this can be in the form of a chatbot, or maybe it's some intuitive, invisible system that can gather and assess everything that you've been doing across all these digital interactions, and then it can analyze the pattern and deliver relevant content when and where you need it. We're still a ways away from these capabilities, but the potential to transform the LMS into a responsive, adaptive, and truly personalized system is now possible. So as we transform, we're going to have to think about other systems too. And this symbiosis between AI and EQ becomes an imperative rather than just a choice. Why? Well, because EQ is what's going to allow educators to use AI in a way that respects cultural differences and learning needs and emotional states. And our AI is going to help students develop the EQ capabilities. This is going to become hugely important because they're going to need the soft skills for their future of communication and work, especially as work continues to evolve and change. There will undeniably be job displacement. In the next 10 years, it's predicted that we'll lose 25 million jobs. And OpenAI has put out that most of these impacted will probably be the current high-paying jobs like mathematician, engineer, and financial analyst. However, we have faced job extinctions before, and we've come out stronger for it. Every time there's new technology that gets released, it creates new industries and creates jobs that we right now can't even fathom. But to prepare for these changes, we have to first start by adapting our education. And so in its scale and scope and complexity, this transformation of technology will be unlike anything we have ever seen. This new education won't just happen inside the walls of schools or workplaces, but it will seamlessly integrate into our daily lives in a way that it will continuously foster lifelong learning, curiosity, and the quest for innovation. So as we step into this new era, it is crucial to remember that technology is just a tool. Its impact, whether positive or negative, depends entirely on how we decide to use it. And that decision is in our hands. This revolution isn't about machines taking over. It is about humans rising up. And by merging humans and technology and machines, we'll be able to gain new tools to solve some of the world's most pressing problems, including education. And so I hope we form a triad that is also strong enough that we don't widen any current divides. Because if we can't figure out how to use this technology in a way that benefits all of humanity by increasing access to education and decreasing the current economic divide, then that means that we did it wrong. And so I hope we can architect this future with wisdom and empathy and a commitment to responsibility. Because the future doesn't just happen, we get to create it. So let's make it spectacular. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, wow. No, another round of applause, please. Come on. This is a full room. I think I did a count of over 200. Thank you, Monica, for the journey into this exciting fusion of AI, XR, adaptive environments, immersive learning. Wow, wow, wow. We just have a few minutes, probably a minute or two left for Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, Monica was very gracious as well, that she might do a little bit of Q&A after our particular session. I see you have your hand up back there.
Hi,
Hello.
architect of virtual reality. In my my graduate studies, I looked into an AI solution from Alex, A-L-E-K-S. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not, but would love to hear about it.
Okay, they've did research on what's called knowledge spaces, and they've been employing AI in the classroom for the last 10 years.
Yep.
And I think they employ a variety of classroom assessment techniques. There's many of them out there. And I'd just be curious to say, like, is there enough representation from education in these circles?
Probably not. I think it wasn't something, the first study I saw bringing it into the classroom was a study done in China where they started using AI regularly in classrooms. Again, I think it was embedded in sort of our older system of AI as we knew it, but everything has changed with generative AI. And so it's opened up these pathways that I agree we need to make sure that we have voices at the table who can make these informed and responsible decisions. And since most of it lends itself beautifully to education. Again, education often gets left out of the table in some of these conversations, but now I think that's about to change. I think this pivotal point is actually unlocking solutions that absolutely need to be part of what is the very best use case that we can bring forward. And so to this day, I would agree with you. I don't think there is as much representation as there needs to be, and I desperately hope that we collectively change that.
I am so sorry. We are at time, and I just want to honor your time as well as our next speaker
Enjoy
who's
the
coming on it
conference.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you again.